I never imagined that at 62, after a lifetime of teaching history to high school kids, I'd be sitting in my quiet Chicago suburban home, staring at an email that ripped my world apart. My name is Susan Harlan, retired teacher, mother of two, grandmother of three, and wife of 40 years to Daniel, the man I thought I knew better than myself. He was my rock, steady, dependable, the guy who'd bring me coffee in bed every Sunday and mow the lawn without complaint. Or so I thought. It all started 3 weeks ago at 11 p.m. when an anonymous email landed in my inbox. The subject line was simple but chilling. Daniel's other life. I almost trashed it, assuming it was spam, but something made me click. The screen filled with photos that hit me like a freight train. Daniel, my Daniel, in a London pub, arm around a woman with auburn hair, laughing like he hadn't a care in the world. Another photo showed him with two kids, a teenage girl and a younger boy, on a beach building a sandcastle. The timestamps were from last month, when he was supposedly at a consulting gig in New York. My hands trembled as I scrolled. A family Christmas with a tree I'd never seen. Daniel carving a roast at a table surrounded by strangers. A wedding photo. Not ours, but a small ceremony in what looked like an English countryside chapel. Daniel in a gray suit, the woman in a cream dress. The note at the bottom read, "Check his travel bag." The truth is there. Daniel was asleep upstairs, his soft snores drifting down. I crept to the garage where he kept his travel bag, the one he used for his frequent consulting trips. He'd retired from his accounting job 5 years ago, but started freelancing, or so he claimed, for extra income. I'd never questioned it. Why would I? I unzipped the bag and found it. A British passport under the name David Marshall. Same face, same hazel eyes, but a different birth date, younger by a decade. Stamps from the UK, France, Ireland, dates matching his trips. A second phone, too, buried in a side pocket, with texts from Clara and Tommy. "Dad, don't forget my recital Friday. Love you." My heart pounded so hard I thought it'd wake him. 40 years. We'd met at a Chicago teachers conference in the 80s, bonded over a shared love of history and jazz. We built a life. Our daughter, Emily, now 38, a lawyer in Seattle. Our son, Ben, 35, a chef in Denver. A brick house in Evanston. Summers at Lake Michigan. Winters by the fireplace. Was it all a lie? I didn't sleep that night. Sitting in the dark with a glass of wine I couldn't drink. The photos burning into my mind. The next morning, Daniel was his usual self, whistling Sweet Home Chicago while making pancakes. "Morning, love," he said, kissing my forehead. "You look tired. Bad dreams?" I forced a smile, my voice steady despite the storm inside. "Just restless. Coffee?" He nodded, oblivious, as I poured his favorite blend, the one I'd bought him every Christmas for decades. I waited 3 days, playing the devoted wife while my mind churned. I called Emily first. "Mom, what's wrong? You sound off." I sent her the email. Her response was immediate. "This can't be real. Dad, another family?" Ben was next, skeptical but worried. "Let's not panic, Mom. Could be a scam." But the passport wasn't a scam. Neither was the phone. I dug deeper, finding hotel receipts in London, school fee payments, a lease for a flat in Camden Town. Daniel had a second life, complete with a wife named Clara and 2 kids. Sophie, 16, and Tommy, 10. I needed proof. Using the family GPS app we'd installed after Daniel's minor heart scare last year, I tracked his car. He was supposed to be in New York for a week-long job. The blue dot blinked in Heathrow Airport, then moved to a residential street in London. I booked a flight, telling Daniel I was visiting Emily. "Have fun, sweetheart," he said, kissing me goodbye at O'Hare. The lie was so easy for him. If you love this story, like, comment, and share to keep the conversation going. Your engagement helps spread voices of Auntie Donna journey. London was a blur of gray skies and jet lag. I rented a car and drove to the address, a charming terraced house with ivy climbing the walls and a red door. Daniel's rental car was parked outside. I sat across the street, heart racing, watching shadows move behind lace curtains. Then I saw her. Clara, mid-40s, auburn hair in a loose bun, wearing a green sweater. She stepped out with a boy, Tommy, who had Daniel's eyes and that same lopsided grin. They laughed, heading to a park. I followed, keeping my distance, sunglasses hiding my tears. At the park, Daniel appeared, coaching Tommy's soccer game. "That's it, mate, kick harder," he shouted, his voice so familiar yet so foreign in this context. Sophie joined them, cheering from the sidelines. They were a family, happy, real. I watched for an hour, my husband of 40 years being a father to children who weren't ours, a husband to a woman who wasn't me. My phone buzzed. A text from Daniel. "Miss you, love. New York's hectic. Dinner tomorrow?" I stared at him across the field, still shouting at the kids. "Sounds great," I texted back, my fingers cold as ice. Back in Chicago, I hired a private investigator, a woman named Karen Voss with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense attitude. "You sure you want the full picture?" she asked. I nodded. "Everything." Over the next 2 weeks, she uncovered a decade-long deception. Daniel, as David Marshall, had married Clara 12 years ago in a quiet UK ceremony. He'd used forged documents, claiming his first wife died in a car crash. Sophie was born a year later, Tommy 5 years after that. He'd funded their life with money siphoned from our joint investments, my inheritance from my parents' estate, $2 million I thought was in our retirement fund. Karen's report was brutal. Bank accounts in David Marshall's name, a consulting firm in London that justified his income, school records for Sophie and Tommy, even a mortgage for the Camden house. Clara believed she was his only wife, a widower who'd lost his American spouse. Daniel had spun a perfect lie, living 2 lives with surgical precision. "He's good," Karen said. "Most bigamists slip up. Not him. I spent a week in a haze, pretending everything was normal. Daniel came home bringing me tulips. My favorite. 'You're glowing, Susan,' he said, kissing me like nothing had changed. I smiled, poured his wine, and played the part while planning my next move. I wasn't going to be the broken wife, sobbing in the shadows. I wanted justice, not revenge, cold, calculated, and public. I called Emily and Ben, laying out the evidence. Emily's voice was steel. "He's done, Mom. I'll draft the legal papers." Ben was quieter, hurt. How could he? To you, to us? We formed a plan. Emily, the lawyer, would freeze our assets and file for divorce, citing bigamy, a felony in Illinois. Ben, with his tech-savvy friends, hacked into Daniel's second phone, pulling texts, emails, and financial records. They found a Cayman account with $1.5 million, our money, hidden for his escape plan. I needed one more ally. Daniel's brother, Paul, a retired cop who'd always been close to me. I showed him the folder. He cursed, pacing. I knew his trips were off, but this... "Susan, I'm with you. Whatever you need." He gave me access to their late mother's safe deposit box, where Daniel kept important papers. Inside, I found the original will. Daniel had forged a version to cut me out, funneling her estate to his UK accounts. Another crime? The plan took shape over 6 weeks. I became the perfect wife again, cooking Daniel's favorite pot roast, laughing at his stories, even initiating intimacy with a passion that surprised him. "You're like a newlywed," he teased, oblivious to the storm brewing. Meanwhile, Emily prepared airtight divorce papers. Ben leaked anonymous tips to Chicago and London press. And Paul uncovered tax evasion. Daniel's consulting firm dodged millions in taxes using his dual identities. Our 40th anniversary was the perfect stage. Daniel had booked the Ivory Room, a swanky Chicago restaurant overlooking Lake Michigan. He invited 60 guests, friends, colleagues, our kids, and grandkids. I wore a sapphire dress, bold and elegant, with my mother's pearl necklace. Daniel looked dashing in his charcoal suit, his gray hair slicked back, cufflinks gleaming. "You're stunning, Susan," he whispered, squeezing my hand. I smiled, my heart a block of ice. Dinner was exquisite. Filet mignon, vintage Bordeaux, a jazz trio playing My Funny Valentine, our song from our first date. At 9:12 p.m., Daniel stood, glass raised. 40 years ago, I met the love of my life, he began, his voice warm, convincing. Susan, you've been my rock, my joy, my everything. The crowd sighed, cameras flashed. He pulled out a velvet box, a diamond bracelet. Will you stay mine forever? I stood, accepting the bracelet, kissing him to applause. Then I took the microphone. 40 years is a long time, I said, my voice steady. Long enough to know every truth and every lie. I nodded to Emily, who cued the restaurant's projector. Daniel's voice filled the room from a recording Ben had pulled. Clara, love, I'll be home for Tommy's birthday. Told Susan it's a conference. She never suspects. The room froze. Daniel's glass shattered on the floor. Photos flashed on the screen. His UK wedding, Sophie's birth certificate listing David Marshall as the father, family vacations in Cornwall. Gasps rippled through the guests. Susan, what? Daniel stammered, but I cut him off. You're a bigamist, Daniel. A liar. A criminal. I laid out the evidence. Bigamy, fraud, tax evasion. Emily stepped forward with divorce papers. Sign or face prison, she said. Paul blocked the exit, his cop instincts sharp. Daniel signed, tears staining the paper. The guests dispersed, whispering, horrified. By morning, the story was everywhere. Chicago man's double life exposed. The hashtag bigamist Daniel trended. His firm fired him, the IRS seized his accounts, and Clara threw him out when she learned the truth. I met her via video call, her face as broken as mine had been. I didn't know, she sobbed. He said you were dead. I promised her kids would be protected, using recovered funds. 2 years later, I'm 64, living in a downtown loft I bought with my reclaimed inheritance. Daniel's in a cheap apartment, working as a clerk, shunned by all. I've started painting again, a passion I abandoned for marriage. My first exhibition, Shades of Truth, sold out. I'm dating a kind bookseller, Tom, who loves my art and my scars. Next month, I'm off to Florence to study Renaissance art, a dream deferred for decades. This isn't Daniel's story. It's mine. Susan Harlan, the woman who rose from betrayal's ashes, painting her future with bold, unapologetic strokes.